Just moments ago, Elon Musk reacting right here on the show to the resistance that's been torching Teslas and terrorizing his companies.
I mean, really, this is fundamentally a case of terrorism. It's wide-scale domestic terrorism with the purpose of intimidation, and it's harming innocent people. It's really terrible. And I think what we actually have to get to are the people who are organizing and paying for these attacks and protests. That's who we really need to go after, because the people who are actually throwing the Molotov cocktails, they're the foot soldiers. Right. But we need to go after the generals.
That comes as Squad Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, I think that's how you say it, holds a resistance lab to stop Trump and Musk.
We have to build our own skills and our own capacity to resist. The thing that saves people from dictators is the people. It is large-scale mass movements of people that are our best line of defense. We have to build our power, our knowledge, our resources, our skills, our resistance movement. And that's why I launched the Resistance Lab, to build and strengthen the grassroots resistance movement to take action.
And Senator Spartacus was busy getting his resistance on. Cory Booker ranting and raving about President Trump's agenda for 22 hours and counting on the Senate floor.
I rise with the intention of disrupting the normal business of the United States Senate for as long as I am physically able. Dear God, if I stand up in this body and say it is wrong to put Pete Hegseth in the cabinet as Secretary of Defense because he's unqualified, look at a Signal chat to see how unqualified he is. Margaret Chase Smith continues, dear God, my friend, I yield the floor for a question while retaining the floor.
I asked my friend...
Excuse me, I'm going to say that correctly. I yield for a question while retaining the floor. I do not yield the floor. I woke up I woke up yesterday morning.
All right. Greg, you look like you want to talk about Spartacus.
Well, he's gaining a lot of weight. I mean, did you notice? He's putting on the pounds. That's what happens when you're under stress. You know, the creation of this anti-Musk crusade tells you what the party thinks of its supporters. That they arrogantly believe, and maybe they're right, that they can get the mob to switch on a dime from, adulation of a climate change king to demonization without any resistance at all. If they command, the mob will follow. I think to the Democrats, they look at the low-level troops as NPCs, non-playing characters. You just give them a prompt, a short script, maybe pay them, they'll recite whatever you want. It is amazing to see how much hate against the guy who's just like literally trying to save a country from financial catastrophe. That's all he's trying to do. I think it does show you how strong and relentless a political narrative, when it's pushed by a pliant media, can accomplish. This judicial trickery is only being done because they don't have the votes.
They did the same thing with Kamala Harris. Remember, she was not liked.
Well, remember, they were able to usher in a vegetable for 3.5 years, and they were able to cover that up for 3.5 years. So they definitely have the potential to unleash another caper.
Yeah, they can hit the switch, Kennedy, and they can turn water into wine. Is that the right analogy? I don't know about that one.
Well, I mean, it's certainly Christ-like, but I wouldn't give them that much credit. I will say they must be vegetarians, because they went from a vegetable to word salad. And unfortunately, American voters were like, where's the beef? And they wanted something a little bit meatier in terms of policy.
Trump burgers.
Yeah. And, you can say whatever you want about the president. You can say whatever you want about his cabinet. What you cannot say is that the election was stolen, or that voters had it wrong. They knew exactly what they were dealing with. They knew what the choices were. They knew the cases against him. And a majority of them, through the popular vote, voted him into power again for another term. That's how democracy works. As inconvenient as it might be for an entire party, particularly the progressive wing, which is really It's out of favor right now. And so that's why you're seeing people like Pramila Jayapal cling as hard as she possibly can onto power through extra democratic means. They can't do it at the ballot box. They can't do it with ideas. So they have to do it with resistance, i.e. violence, and the judiciary.
Take us inside a resistance lab, Jessica. What's going on inside these laboratories of resistance?
And are there pangolins?
We're building Molotov cocktails and making new dictionaries full of crazy words that we're going to use for man and woman and pregnancy and whatever else. I don't know about this.
I see a resistance lab sketch on Gutfeld, exclamation coming up.
Well, I'm happy to participate.
Yes.
On the night that Musk is on. Bring me. He seemed like a lot of fun. You know, I think it's a good thing for Democrats to be trying to find different ways to connect with voters, to win back their trust. That's what you should be doing in the wake of an election. The Senate Democrats today are launching their Social Security war room, because that's one of the main issues for the American public, that they are trying to cut Social Security, close offices, make it harder for you to be able to make your claims and get your benefits. And that's all to the good. But, you know, this Elon Musk is a victim thing is so crazy to me. Like, the guy's the richest man in the world, so everything should be relatively comfortable. He gets to come on the #1 show on cable news, right, and chat
I think
with
it's
us.
more about his dealerships and the people who work for him. That's who I feel bad for.
Well, I hear a lot
so
of.
do you.
No, I have been outspoken about the arson and the cocktail. Don't do it. But the American public really doesn't like what Doge is doing. The new Quinnipiac poll, 60% disapprove of how Doge is dealing with workers. 54% think Doge is hurting the country.
That's
Elon
a media
Musk,
narrative, though.
No,
that
it's
has,
not.
No, I'm saying the media narrative has driven the polling. If you lie about
You don't think
it,
that people know if they've been fired? You don't think people know that he's making millions of dollars a day off government contracts and he wants to cut their Medicaid or their Social Security?
I
These
thought
are
he
easy
only
lines.
fired 0.15%
Do you know how many people
of
that
the bureaucracy.
actually is? Have
What?
you paid do you know how many people that actually is?
No,
of the
do the
federal
math
government?
for me. How many
Give me
people
a
is that?
second.
Well, I'll give you an idea. It's not the 400,000 that Bill Clinton fired. I am so tired of saying that.
Well,
nobody burnt any cars. Nobody protested. Nobody resisted when Bill Clinton did the same thing.
He didn't do the same thing.
He
worked
did
with
the same
Congress.
thing. Oh, he
No.
worked with Congress? Oh,
Yes,
that's
doing
big
an
of him.
actual
That's big of him.
evaluation.
And in the
Yes, to pay
meantime, they
attention.
should work with Congress
Separation
when
of powers.
Congress has allowed this for the past 15 years. That's the problem. While we pay for it. And you know what? I'm sick and tired of this Jayapal and the resistance, because the Democrats don't deal in reality. None of this thing is honest. None of it is credible. None of it is real. If you decide you want to close a Social Security office because there's no one going to it, it doesn't mean you're losing your Social Security check. Stop with the it may be this and it may be that. The bottom line is we have spent so much money that goes to other people that it doesn't go to the people it's intended to, or should be going to the people it's intended to, and nobody seems to give a damn. And that's the problem. So Jayapal can go up there and say, you know, I'm going to teach resistance, and I'm going to do it in the, what did she call, the principles of Dr. King and the nonviolence. Hogwash, that's a lie, because all they do is violence. And Jayapal has not once said, don't burn a car, don't blow up a Tesla, don't blow up a dealership. They're all full of it, and it's all performative. And they talk about resistance, and she says, America hasn't had to deal with a dictator until now. Really? This is the first time? What about the first term? Did you forget that? And the media follows the narrative. The media is saying Elon Musk is terrible, which is why Doge is not held in such high esteem. That's why now you're seeing Elon Musk.
Before we go, does that ring give you superpowers, Judge?
Which one?
Which one? The one that looks like planet Earth.
You know what? I'm going to give it to my daughter-in-law.
All right.
If you don't like it.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.